Here we are at the beginning of round 8, the purchases, and from here on out we're going to do a condensed turn where I'm going to just try and show a significant battle from each nation on its turn and skip filming all the non-combat movement and the minor skirmishes and what have you, and try and speed this up to a conclusion here. As you can see, the Germans, the yellow marker under the roundel are the territories that German took from Russia. They took 3. One of them was defended by British units. And the significant battle that I'll show here will be the battle for Egypt. I need to get this camera sitting. Alright, so for the Egypt battle, I had a bomber come from the Ukraine, a bomber come from Greece, and then a fighter from Syria. And 2 of them have 2 left, and the bomber from Greece has 3 left. The tank from Syria will blitz through there, and then this transport goes up to Greece, grabs this infantry and artillery. So that's our attack on Greece. I suspect we'll take that. I don't suspect we'll hold it, as Britain has 1 transport available here. So Germany's gonna have to roll really well, and Britain's gonna have to roll really bad to make this successful. So with that in mind, we've got 2 2s for the infantry artillery, a 3 for the tank, a 3 for the fighter, and then 2 4s for the bomber. And 3 hits will be needed to clear that out. 3 hits they got. So Britain will return fire with 3 3s, 2 tanks and a tactical. And they get 1 hit, so that's going to leave 2 units in Egypt. And Britain's going to have 2 units coming up with a bombard. So it's going to be close on Britain trying to take that back. Let me put that over there. Alright, so that was a victory. We'll get these units out of there. And yeah, I know that's an elephant tank there in Egypt. I don't know if you can see that. It's basically just a regular tank in this one. See if we can zoom in there. It doesn't really show up too well. Alright, so I will be back. As I look at Russia, I don't see a counterattack anywhere that seems fitting. Maybe Archangel, but that's not worth filming, so we'll go on to Japan for the next viewing, and I don't know that there's going to be a major battle there either, so we'll see what happens. Alright, so I made it all the way to the end of Japan's turn without really any significant battles, but I did want to point out that the German buy included 13 IPCs of damage repaired on 3 different factories, so that kind of cost them a little bit. The other thing I forgot to mention was when Germany gets the Egypt, they get another national objective for having a land unit in Egypt, so we'll add that to their stack of NOs. There was also, on the last turn, I had mentioned I left that destroyer there to block, and someone chimed in and said, well, actually with that naval base they just go right around it. And you know, I know that, but when you're filming and you're trying to move along, I missed that. So the Axis player, being very gracious, you know, has allowed that destroyer to follow where that battleship went, because it's not blocking anything there. So that's one of those things where it's good to have, when you're playing against people that you're playing against good people that you know, can see through their way to make up mistakes like that. Now, you know, really a turn later, probably not a good idea, but on this turn, you know, when you're playing yourself, you can do kind of stuff like that. Japan, 3 or 4 battles, looks like 3 in China, 1 in Russia, 1 in India, and they were all single unit territories. They did come out here with all the planes from the carriers in that sub and killed that destroyer and transport. The U.S. did not scramble because they're going to need those planes for the upcoming battle. And I will pan back here and see that's the placement of units. As I see right now, I missed that Calcutta has 6 damage, so I'm going to have to take away, I think, a Japanese sub up there at Tokyo so that I could place these 3 infantry there for those transports. Whether I need to go back to the islands, you know, if Anzac comes out and starts picking off islands, or, you know, maybe the death blow here against Britain. But I think we're getting to the end of this game. We're going to see how this battle in the Pacific pans out. U.S. is up next. They will be going into Normandy, and Britain will follow. And we'll see, you know, on the following turn how that counterattack goes. Germany's and Italy have been setting that up. Like I said, that could be, next turn could be the end. But let me move America's pieces, and really I don't see a need to roll the U.S. battle. There's 3 infantry in Normandy, and it's overwhelming forces coming in. So we'll probably do a summary, and looking around, I probably will, the next battle roll will be there in Egypt as Britain tries to take that back. And then probably Italy will try and take it back again. We'll catch you there. Alright, for Britain's turn 8, you can see the U.S. moved into Normandy on its turn, lost 1 infantry, which I did not remove because there should only be 3 infantry and 4 tanks. I'll have to remove that infantry to the German 3 infantry that were defending. More reinforcements came over from the U.S. to Gibraltar, Morocco. That's about it for this. Oh, the 2 bombers from London maxed out the damage on Paris again, so the Germans will have to fix that. The other side of the board, the U.S. moved forward, killing the Japanese sub that was there, and they've got their 2nd force at Pearl and some more build up there in San Francisco. Anzac will come up and join the U.S., and most likely, I'm going to guess, Japan's going to attack, and then U.S. will counterattack, and then we'll have a good picture of what the map's going to look like at that point. But for Britain, they attacked Transjordan. There were 3 Italian units there. 4 British units came in, 3 land and that fighter, and everybody was wiped out except for the fighter. So they did not succeed in taking that land, but they did succeed in taking out those Italian units that could be used in the counterattack. Which, you know, those transports here, if Germany holds on to it, they still can't get back to Egypt. So I gotta believe that Egypt is short-lived in the Axis hands, at least for now. But let's see if Britain could reclaim it. They have, let me set that over there. They have infantry and artillery, battleship, and they can only use 1 of their cruisers as a bombardment because they only have 2 units, so you can only use 2 bombardments. 2 hits, so Germany is clear. If Germany can get 2 hits with that tank and mech, or tank and artillery, Britain does not get it back. 1 hit. So Britain gets it back with 1 artillery left in place. And now that leaves Italy with that tank and those fighters, so they most likely will get it back, and it'll be a seesaw battle. really up to the point where Japan decides either to come to the Middle East or if they're forced back into the Pacific. Britain did reinforce Normandy with 6 infantry and 4 fighters, and they are trying to hold on to that beachhead. I will set up Italy. Well, really it's just going to be that one counterattack in Egypt. I don't think Italy can counterattack. You know, they might. They've got enough just to send in there to weaken that, and hopefully Germany can take that out. If not, then Normandy holds, and the situation over here is going to get a little more grim for the Axis, which is okay. So I will be back with the round summary at the end, and then we'll move on to turn 9. Alright, we'll take a look at the end of round 8, and Italy did attack Normandy with all those forces it had in southern France. They rolled poorly, got 2 hits. The Allies fared a little better. They got, I think, 5 hits. The only thing that survived that battle was that German, or that Italian tank and Italian bomber. All the infantry and artillery were wiped off. So at the, they only got 2 Allied. So that was a bad Italian counteroffensive. There is 2 less now for Germany to deal with, but I think that was not conducive to the war effort for the Axis. They did, however, take Italy back, so that, or not Italy, Egypt. So Egypt fell to Germany, then fell to Britain, then fell back to Italy. So there are some transports that can send some guys up to retake Italy, but if the Allies don't pressure in Normandy, then the Italian transports can send some guys back down. Persia, the factory, they're starting to huddle up there. The idea of sending units to help Russia is just about over. Russia, however, has got one huge stack, and I can't count it from here, but it's a good deal of infantry and some tanks, a little bit of artillery, and some planes if they want to do a little one last counterattack. China is holed up in the middle and about finished, and the big battle will occur in the Pacific here on turn 9. The money for the end, China is at 4, Anzac 14, Russia's down to 18, so their time on the board is short. Italy at 26, Britain at 42, US is at 70, while Japan is at 78, and Germany at 74. And then those are all the national objectives that are being acquired by the various countries. Germany has finally reached the 20 mark that US has enjoyed the whole game. The other interesting note on this map is that Britain has remained in that low to mid 40s all game, and in Italy in that low to mid 20s. So just enough IPCs for them to actually do some things. Sometimes Britain can fade away, and Italy, you know what happens to Italy. So next turn will be 9, and we'll get moving with that one. Start of round 9. There's the German buy. They had to fix Paris again, 6 damage. Russia's down to just a single grouping of infantry. The US is, if they hang on to Normandy on the German counterattack here, they're going to fix that factory. If not, they'll buy a sub. So that's what those 6 points are for there. There is the rest of the purchases, and there's two critical battles for Russia or Germany. They're going to try and wipe out that last group of Far East troops heading into Moscow, trying to cut them off before they get in there, because that's a pretty big stack in Moscow already. And then of course the Normandy battle here. Make that a little wider. So let's go ahead and we'll roll. Let's roll the little one first. You know what? I'll just leave it on the dice tray here at the same spot and just roll it. So there's an anti-aircraft gun. There is 4 German planes. So they get a 2. So one of those German planes has to retreat. We'll take a fighter and move him back into Stalingrad. Alright, so the Germans have 3 infantry, 2 artillery with 2 more infantry, 2 tanks, 1 fighter, and 2 Stukas. For a total of 2 hits. Oh, that's not a good counterattack there. Let's see what those Russians can do. So that'll be the 2 anti-aircraft guns. And they get 2 hits back. And they have 1 more dice there. Yeah, they get 2 more dice. Alright, so they get 3 hits. So not so good there, but they did get those anti-aircraft guns out of there. They'll go 1 more round just to see if they can chew that down a little. So they're down to 2 artillery and infantry, 2 tanks, 1 fighter, 2 Stukas. 4, that's still not very good. Alright, and the Russians get 2 back, but they got 2 more to roll. 3. Alright, so that'll be the end of that attack. So they did whittle it down to 7 infantry for Russia going into Moscow. I would have liked to have done a little better there, but that's the case. Alright, so in Normandy, where we're looking at, there is an anti-aircraft gun in France, so that will go in as the attack. There are 3 British fighters, and there's a 2. So 1 British fighter retreats. It can go onto that carrier since it's the next available landing spot. So we'll do that. So that helped. The battle itself, Germany has 9 infantry, 3 artillery, 3 fighters, a Stuka, and 3 bombers. And you can see all the markers there with the distances they have left. And their tanks, fuel tanks. So I'm going to have to get some more 1s. Of course, they're on the other side of the world. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they'll have 6 at 2. They got 3 fighters, 1 Stuka, 3 strategic bombers. Oh, right into Gibraltar. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that will be 6 British infantry and 1 US infantry. So 7 infantry down. And this is the critical roll for the US. Actually, Britain. Britain actually has more forces there than the US did. Alright, so we're going to have 7 on the infantry. We've got 4 tanks and 3 fighters. Good roll, good roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that leaves Germany with 3 infantry, 3 artillery. So obviously they have to continue on. So that's going to be 6 2s. Alright, 3 3s. And 4 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is 4 tanks and a fighter. Alright, so that leaves 2 British fighters to defend. Let's see how the Allies roll back. Alright, so they had 4 tanks and 3 fighters. 3, alright, that's the 3 infantry. Oh, you know what? I forgot to take that anti-aircraft gun. So we'll take 2 infantry and the anti-aircraft gun. So it doesn't seem like they're going to hold Normandy. Alright, so we've got 4 at 2, 3 at 3, and 4 at 4. You need 2 hits on those last 2 British fighters. And they do. Britain's return is just 1 shot. So 3 artillery are left in France. That American marker is gone. And the Germany one goes back in. Alright, so there you have that. Russia will just be consolidating in Moscow. Japan has some minor moves on the continent, but we will come back with the battle in the Pacific between the 2 big navies for Japan's turn. Alright, there's a look at Germany's deployment after its purchases. Normandy is back in control for until the Americans go. There's the Russian deployment, which basically is just in Moscow. They're just a little over 50 infantry, 6 artillery, 4 tanks, and 4 planes. The Axis there have about 19 infantry, 6 artillery, but their tank number is, I think, 33, if I remember, plus some planes. So I think that gives them the advantage to move next to Moscow this upcoming turn, and then the final assault. And Moscow's only making $15, and Japan's going to eat up some more of that. As you can see on this turn, they took some from China, Russia, and Britain there in the Middle East. Looks to me like Persia falls on the next Japanese turn, but here is the battle. Widen that out a little. There's the battle. What's there? The numbers are marking the movement left of those planes, so I want to lose those planes that have 1 movement left first. I also don't think I want to lose carriers right away, because I need to defend against those forces there in the Pearl Harbor, because they'll be able to come in there. There are some Anzac ships in there. Tilt that up a little so we can see the dice box, and we will roll out the key Japanese battle, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 destroyers, 2 subs. So that's going to be 9 2s. I must have some dice hiding somewhere, because I can't find them all. Alright, there's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, 9 2s. Alright, so 3 hits on the first wave. Now fighters and cruisers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We'll roll 2 at 6 here. There's 2. And another 2. So that's not a very good Japanese roll for their 3s. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the 4s for the attacks in that one battleship. Okay, so that's not good for Japan. That was not a very good one there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we've got carriers coming. We've got the Caroline Islands. We can land our planes. So we'll lose, that's 2, 4, 6 on the carriers, the 2 subs. And then we need to lose 2 more, which will be 2 of the destroyers. So give me a gray chip there. Alright, so on the defense, 2 subs at 1, 1, 2, 3 carriers, and they had 8 destroyers. So that'll be 11 at 2. So I will roll 5 on the first round. It's 2 hits, and then I will need to roll 6 on the second round. 2 subs missed. Alright, there's 2 more. They have 3 cruisers, 2 tacticals. Alright, 2 hits. That wasn't it. And then on the 4s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they got 8. 8 at 4. Oh, there you go. 7 of 8 on that one. So Japan takes a beating on round 1, that's for sure. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Alright, so 3 subs cash it in. I'm going to slide those over so we can see all those casualties here in a second. Get those out of the way. Alright, so Japan lost 3 subs. 7 destroyers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, it's 8 destroyers. So that's 11, and we'll take 1 carrier off. That's 13. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13. All right. So now, Japan's second wave. No more 2s. Don't have to worry about those numbers. So we got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we'll roll 2 rounds of 6. There's 3, 4, 5. I guess that's okay. And we got our 4s. Oh no, Japan is suffering. So that is a total of 6 hits. So that is the rest of their destroyers. Alright, so I'm thinking I should have built an air base on Palau Island so that I could retreat into that, because the carriers at Pearl can reach, so there might be a punishing counterattack here. Alright, so let's roll our defense. No 2s left for US either. So they are down to 5 at 3. Gets 2 hits. And 4, 8 at 4. Holy crap, all 8. Alright, so that's 10 hits. Alright, so our 1 planes would be 4. That'd be 4 of our hits. Alright, so that means we can get rid of a carrier, so that's 6. Alright, we'll take hits on these 2 carriers. That's 7, 8. You know what? All those planes can make it back to Palau Island. Let's just use the carriers. So that is 2, 4, 6. And then, so that's 6 hits on the carriers, and then 4 planes. Alright, they will press to hopefully heal the death blow here. So there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Down to 9 on the 3. There's 3. They haven't rolled very well on the 3s. Oh, they did there though. And down to 5 on the 4s. Their 4s have been atrocious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, so there's your 3 cruisers. I probably should have taken a hit on that battleship a long time ago, along with the Japanese, so I guess it works out. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just a hit. 5, 6. What did I have there? I forget. So 8, so 2 more. I guess we'll take 2 fighters. Alright, so on the rebuttal, we had the 5 at 2. It's the 2. And then I had 2 fighters beyond what's there. There's 2 on that. And here's the other 4, 3 on that. Alright. 7. So 7 hits. So we'll take the hit on the carrier, or the battleship now, that we should have done earlier. But like I said, US didn't do it either, so. Alright, so 2 cruisers. And that'd be 3, so 3 fighters. So the question is, do I continue on? I probably should. I think Japan still has the edge here slightly. So I can roll this all in one round now. Four hits, so that will be 3 fighters and the battleship. So they have 4, 5, 6 back. 4. Okay, well. 1, 2, 3, 4. That leaves 2 pairs, and if we continue on, we'll get those transports. But that is some punishment there in the 2 3s, 3 4s. Just need 2 hits. There's the 2 hits. They fire back, and they get 2 hits. So we will lose the battleship and 1 tactical. So all this entire U.S. Anzac Navy that was in there, Caroline Islands, is gone. 3 Japanese planes have survived, and we'll land here on Palau Island, leaving the U.S. with 2 carriers, a battleship, destroyer, and Pearl. Japan will have its build, which is a battleship, carrier, 2 subs, and a destroyer. However, the planes, they don't have the planes to come back. So I'm going to have to send some planes from India back to see how that winds up. Alright. So there won't be a U.S. counterattack because there's nothing left. So the next battle we'll see, well really there's no need to see the Normandy battle. It's only 3 artillery against what's left of the U.S. So we will do some turns and see if there was any significant battles. We'll show those. Otherwise we'll end up with the summary at the end and see if we are going to continue from there. One thing I was going to mention when I was looking at Japan and the moves that it could make, I noticed that these objective cards were obscuring the sea zones here. with that naval base. They could come down 1, 2, and that's the end of that. So that was a mistake made because those cards were laid out like that. But honestly, they could have gotten that, you know, with some other means. I guess they could have sent that carrier and parked the carrier 2 off and got them. But either way, those transports are gone. And Britain, you know, they won't be able to get to Egypt now, so we're just gonna move that tank up, march, and this transport's there, so they're gonna just stack here, and maybe they can hold off, since that Japanese carrier moved over towards Borneo to stave off the possible Anzac invasion of some of those islands. I don't know that Japan has enough to get through this small British Navy now, so that might have been a mistake on Japan's part. But either way, that's how that's going to go down. And Italy is going to have a significant battle here going into Normandy. Roll that out here. Got these dice. So I've got, what have I got there? I've got, that ain't even getting in the screen. I guess we can back it up a little bit. We've got 3 infantry and 2 artillery, so that's going to be 4 2s and a 1, 2 fighters and a tank and a bomber. Now this time in Normandy, Britain is running out of gas. They only were able to send 6 infantry. They've got 1 fighter on the carrier, but what I noticed was that the Germans now, they brought some planes back from Russia. They probably have enough maybe to wipe that Navy out. So I'm going to need, along with the buys of those 2 British planes, they're going to need to stack those, that carrier and that airfield. Well, the airfield is not fixed, so they can't scramble. Britain's in a world of hurt. Alright, either way, here comes the Italian roll. Gets 3. So, let's see, Britain has 6 infantry in there. So we'll roll those. Oh, they get 3. So this is going to be a short-lived Italian campaign again. The US has 6 2s. Oh, they only get 1. But they have 2 tanks, so another one. So that would be all of the ground forces except the tank again. So, and what did they get? They got 3. So that really was not that impressive an assault, other than the fact that now there's less there for Germany. There's no fighters in there, and it doesn't look good here. That's all I gotta say. So they can head back. So they were from an air base, 1, 2, 3. So they'll have to land in northern Italy and put that bomber back there as well. And then we'll move all those forces up. We're gonna take some transports with some guys down to Egypt to try and continue to hold that. And Anzac will probably take a stab at either sending all its transports to Palau to try and get those Japanese planes, because that's going to be more effective than taking one of these islands that Japan will take right back. So matter of fact, while we're here, let's just roll that out and see if that plan fails or succeeds. Alright, so we've got 2 transports here, but you know, it's not really, is that, let me think if that's even going to be worth it. There's enough there that whatever they do over here, Japan's just taking back, and it's really not affecting this fleet. So I think if I send in 2 transports, 2 dudes, 2 artilleries. Well, that doesn't seem like a very good attack. 4 2s against a 2 3 and 2 4s. Alright, I think I just talked myself out of it. Alright, well, I will do whatever they're going to do and do a summary video here next. Well, the end of round, look down there, in the end of round 9, you can see the yellow chips under the roundels. Germany took Normandy back. U.S. retook Normandy again. British reinforcements this time was not very much, and if you look on London there, they're just about out of stuff to send to the U.S. So next turn, they're probably not going to hold that. They've got some forces moving up to get to Egypt, but Italy just dumped 4 transports. Germany's going to follow up with another transport next turn, so that looks like that might be solid. They have thwarted off the Japanese advance on Persia by moving all their navy in there, so they got another round going there. Moscow is in pickle. The noose will tighten. They'll be down to just probably 2 territories, maybe only 1 next turn, and then the final assault. And Russia, they're not going to survive that, I don't believe. But you never know. Big dice, big rolling could save them. But China is in the same boat. They will be squashed the next turn. Anzac did come over, thought it was better to take 2 of those islands. They killed a Japanese transport in the process. Only lost 1 infantry retaking Java. They won't hold those islands, but at least they're diverting Japanese resources from up here, where the U.S., after their build, when they put their units on there in San Francisco, their fleet is now superior to the Japanese. The flip side here being that Japan can spend all of its money on navy, really. There is no land threat anymore. All the U.S. transports are gone. There's 2 in Hawaii, but they're not going to be able to do much because the U.S. cannot afford to give up on Europe, because Germany will run away with that, and it looks like they may already be headed that direction. So there may only be 1 more turn left in this game. If not, to me right now it looks like an Axis victory. It's one of those stages of the game where you just kind of say, yeah, good game. Axis, or Allies, whoever has the upper hand, will be the victor. Alright, before we get started with turn 10, I don't recall counting out the IPCs at the end of round 9. China is down to 1. Russia at 15, Anzac 21, Italy 26, Britain holding steady at 42, US 68, Japan 74, and Germany 78. And those are the NOs for all the countries collected at that round. And the buys, Germany continues to buy strong. Russia's down to 5 infantry. Japan and US rebuilding the navies. Britain had to pay down a lot of damage in London so that they could be more help in the Normandy campaign. And then Italy and Anzac are still doing pretty well on the money. So we've got 2 battles for Germany that are significant, so we'll roll both of those. Looking at what's defending these transports off Gibraltar, it's kind of weak. So I've got 2 subs here And the subs can go through the Gibraltar Strait, even though warships, surface ships can't. But I also have these 2 bombers in Paris that can get there with 3 movements back and land back in southern France. So we're gonna try and wipe out those transports so that there's not a follow-up wave. And if that's successful, then that really eliminates the U.S. on this side of the board for a couple turns. So there's 2 hits. So they'll take the 2 destroyers, 1 British, 1 U.S., and they will fire back. They have 3 destroyers and a fighter, and they get 2 hits. So that's 2 for 2. So now it's 2 left. So the Germans have to get 2 hits. Oh, they got nothing. Well, the Allies got nothing. Alright, so it goes to round 3. 2 hits. So that eliminates the fighter and the destroyer. Now if one of these bombers survives, all those transports bite the dust. And 1 bomber dies, 1 survives. So that is not good for the Allies. 5 transports, along with the accompanying destroyers and fighter. It will be a long time before the Allies can recover from that. And Normandy doesn't look so well either for the Allies. You can see all those planes. I did bring 2 back from Leningrad that were on the Russian front. Just because I was running low on infantry and needed more punch. So we've got 2 single infantry, we've got 2 artillery, 2 infantry, we got 1 tank, 1, 2, 3, 4 fighters, and 1 bomber and 3 Stukas. Alright, let's see what happens here in Normandy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is 4, 6. Well, we'll leave the 1 U.S. infantry. So that would be 7, 8, 9. So the Allies have 9 twos and 2 tanks. So we'll roll that in 2 waves. Here's the 4. Thank you, twos, for not participating. Oh, that time they did participate. All right, 3 hits there, and then the 2 tanks, 5. All right, so that was pretty brutal to the Germans. They may not take Normandy this time. There's 2 land units left, and there's no units following it up. So unless they get a sweep on this one here, I don't know why Germany would care if they didn't take it. All right, so a tank, artillery, 1, 2, 3, 4 fighters, 3 Stukas, and a bomber. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is a sweep. Now, assuming what the Allies get back there on the hits, they had 2 tanks and 3 at 2. So they got 2. So I can lose a plane and use that tank, which that seems like the obvious move. So U.S. doesn't build. Britain, if they want to use their forces to attack, they can, but honestly, that's not gonna survive long, because Germany's just gonna keep stacking Paris and moving troops down from Western Germany. All right, so I'm gonna do the non-com. Then Russia will probably just put its 5 guys out and await their doom, and then we'll move on to Japan. And see if they attack Britain in the Middle East. Alright, so Russia, they just placed their units. You can see Germany's tightening the noose. Built some planes that they can reach Moscow and some tanks where they can reach Moscow. And basically the Atlantic Wall is pretty fortified now with no U.S. transports within range. But let me turn that over there. I did see, and I didn't think about it at the time I was killing those transports, but there are 4 transports on that naval card there, so they can just come down here to Gibraltar and pick up all those guys and go back next turn. So that gives Germany 1 turn reprieve there, which may be enough to prevent that from happening. But for Japan, they're going to send this destroyer up, so they've got 2 battles. I moved that because it's not going to be in the camera range. They've got China, the battle for China, and we're going to try and take out this British fleet here. Send over these 2 ships and these 2 planes. And let's see, I got 2 3s, 2 4s, and a 2 for Japan. 4 hits. Well, that was extremely punishing, so we'll take a hit there, 2 destroyers, and that 4th hit will have to be a cruiser. So Britain fires back. Oh, and they get 4 hits. So that'll be the destroyer, cruiser, battleship, and I guess the tech bomber. So it is a 3 and a 4 for Japan, 2 hits. The same thing for Britain, 2 hits. So that British transport survives. The naval battle was a complete wipe of all units. And that's just how it goes sometimes. So up in China there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 armor. I got an infantry and an artillery, and then 2 of those infantry at 1. So I need 1 more blue here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 hits. Take off 5 Chinese. That means they had a total of 8. Looking for a place to lay those where I won't get in the way. So I need to grab some more 2s. Thank you for flying across the map. Alright. And they have a 4 for that fighter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have to roll 2 more 2s. So that is 4 hits. And if they get any on the next 2, they do not. So 4 hits, that'll be the end of the 2s and 1s for Japan. Alright, so that leaves them down to their 6 3s, which gets 3 hits. So the Chinese infantry are all gone now. So they defend with 2 Japanese tanks. So this pretty much should be the end. Ooh, 1 hit. That was not good. Flying Tigers take 1 down with it, and that is the end of China. But that was kind of expected. The other battles up in Russia, Japan eliminated 2 territories, lost 2 or 3 guys, I can't recall. The big one though, they took out the Anzac Navy here with planes from the carrier and that sub, and then they did an amphib on this island. The planes came and got the transport. I didn't bring the bombers in because I wanted to move them somewhere else, and my 2 Japanese assault guys failed. Well, they failed to take the island, but they did eliminate the Anzac infantry, but they also were eliminated by the Anzac infantry. Such as it is, I thought I could just swoop in there and get her done, and I had the bombers and didn't use them. My bad. And now I'll place most of that Japanese fleet up there in Japan. We'll move some more stuff towards the Middle East here. I did take one guy and captured Ceylon because these two fighters could go 1, 2, 3 and land on Ceylon and automatically kill those since I lost all my planes. So I don't want that to happen. And we'll go on to the US turn, which there will be no combat for US, so we'll probably just come back for a summary. And as I look, I don't know England will do anything, but we might come just for the summary of the end of this turn. We'll see what happens. Alright, so at the end of round 10, you can see US moved a fleet down to grab all those guys on Gibraltar to possibly come back on the next round. Italy on its turn did reinforce Normandy, so that's going to be tougher now. They can start sending streams of guys there. The US bombers bombed Paris again for 6. Anti-aircraft has been very weak there. In the Med, Italy built a factory in Egypt along with the 4 transports that can come down next turn. It's going to make that almost impossible for Britain to take that back. And I did roll. You saw the battle in the Persian Gulf where eliminated both navies. So next turn Japan will come and most likely wipe out Persia. That battle's probably going to go Japan's way pretty easily. And then Moscow, you see, is surrendered. The Moscow dollars that they had last turn, I had it at 15, but I didn't move it down for the German gains on that previous turn, so they actually only had 9. So I reduced that chip from 5 to 3 infantry. So it's even worse for Russia, and it won't be getting any better. Japan finished China off in the they failed to take Celebes. The Anzac turn, they just reinforced some planes for the US to use and some more ships they bought. Japan did convoy Java for the full 4, so it was like they didn't really have that island. And there are the objectives for this, the end of turn 10. So Japan's down to 1 objective. Massive amount of territory, but only 1 objective. The ending IPCs for Russia is at 5, Anzac 21, Italy 27, Britain still at 41. They were at 42 last turn. US 66. Looks like Japan is at 78 and Germany at 81. So there you have that. The Allies have chosen to surrender. The victory conditions for Global 40 is based off victory cities that are taken, you know, on the Europe side or the Pacific side. Japan only needs Honolulu or Sydney. Neither one of those seem viable in the next handful of rounds, but eventually they could, because Japan no longer needs any really army on the Asia continent, so they can focus on Navy, and then we'll outbuy the US and Anzac over there for sure. Germany, on the other hand, if Moscow falls, which is more than likely, then they will have the necessary victory cities because they already have Cairo, and that will be an Axis victory there. So the Allies are going to forego the 1 or 2 turns that it might take to get that victory city in Moscow, and it may be this turn, actually, turn 11. But what I am going to do, I'm going to roll out 2 battles. I'm going to roll Moscow battle as Germany is attacking it. But what I'm going to do first is, if the Russians counterattacked that territory right here, which is one big territory that surrounds Moscow, where the majority of the German units are in there. There's 20 plus twos. The tanks are 33, and then there's some planes. The majority of the Russian attack is going to be ones, so we'll roll both battles and see how that goes, and then I'll come back and give a report on which battle was success, or how each battle went and how successful they were. And then just for fun, I might also throw in that Persia battle between Japan and UK, and then give an overview of what I thought the house rules on those AA guns and this map and how it works with the Global 40 setup. So I'm going to roll those out. There's no need for you guys to sit here and watch, because those are going to be some pretty big battles, and I will let you know on the last segment. So there are your results of the turn 11 that didn't happen, but I rolled it anyway. On the right is the Russian assault on Germany, and had they done that as it rolled out, the Russian attacking anti-aircraft got no hits. The German defending anti-aircraft got 1 kill and 1 damage. So Russia lost 2 planes in that battle. The Russian forces were wiped out. The German remaining forces is the 12 tanks and 3 of those planes. The result of the German battle, the Russian anti-aircraft scored a hit and killed a German fighter, and the attacking German anti-aircraft gun got a damage roll. So the Russians lost that tack in that battle as it had to retreat. And then these planes would have been in the attack as well. So you can see the attack, when, there was more units surviving the attack. But then again, on the defense, it was Russia attacking that one territory. On the attack side, where they attacked Moscow, there were tanks from Stalingrad. There were some tanks, I think, in Rostov or the Ukraine or Bryansk, one of those. Then there was also some planes that were purchased in Leningrad. So all those were able to join the forces to make that, an even more successful attack. So the bottom line is the Axis on turn 11 would have had the victory city conditions met on the Europe side of the board. And then Japan went into Persia, and that wasn't even a fight. So good thing I didn't waste time showing that. But as far as the map goes, it really, I think it plays well for the Global 40 game, the setup. You could always throw in different house rules. You could throw in a Canada rule. Canada can be a playable nation up there. Even if they're not, Britain, through the whole game was in the 40s. Now they did need, U.S. help on this side of the board, and maybe things could have gone a little better for Russia, for them to last a little longer or get a better push. But you kind of have to pick your poison, because Japan really needed the attention in the Pacific, even though at the end of the game here, the U.S. fleet, outweighs Japan right now in 1 or 2 turns. I see Japan doing whatever it wants to in the Pacific, just because there's no need for any more land units in Asia. So I had fun. Hopefully, you if you watched all this, you spent a lot of time, which is kind of, kudos to you for doing that. I enjoyed playing the game. I made some mistakes. A lot of that's, trying to get things done in a hurry, and the camera's filming, and you miss some things. But it's still it's part of the fun, and I'll be doing some more games, like this in the future, with some different, maybe some different house rules, different, a different setup or whatnot. Until next time, keep rolling those dice.